Hi, my name is Maria, and thank you so much for listening to my video. So I'm going to answer the following questions. What are the relationships between oppression and mental health of individuals from marginalized groups? The relationship between oppression and the mental health of marginalized groups was identified through the United States of Health and Human Services report on mental health. And this basically states that discrimination and oppression are linked, and marginalized groups have a greater risk of emotional disturbances and illnesses. And so, this emotional disturbance and illness can include depression, anxiety, as well as health issues such as hypertension. How can oppression and privilege coexist for a client? So, privilege is characterized as having unconscious and unearned power, access to resources, advantage, and social position based on a cultural group membership, like being a part of the white race, being a male, heterosexual, higher socioeconomical status, and being able-bodied. And then the result of oppression is an imbalance of power. So oppression and privilege can coexist for a client by being a member of both the oppressive and oppressed groups. And what this looks like, I'll give a personal example, is that for me, Christianity is my religion. I was born Christian, raised Christian, and so I don't have to worry about being ostracized for that. But at the same time, I'm also African American and Mexican, and those are both oppressed races. So in those instances, I have privilege on one hand, oppression on the other hand. Another example of that is being privileged for being heterosexual and cisgendered. So that's a privilege, but the oppressed side of it is that I am a woman. So those are some examples of how oppression and privilege can exist at the same time for myself, and then as well as clients. What are examples of counselor-client worldviews conflicts? Okay, so the values of counseling may not always be congruent with the values of various cultural groups. So, for example, the dominant values in the United States is individualism and autonomy, and so therefore, with my Mexican American culture, we are the culture is very close knit, very close and dependent upon each other as a family, and so because of that, the United States values will consider that as being pathological and codependent. So it would be somewhat of a diagnosis, which is normal for my culture, but not necessarily normal based on the United States of values. Okay, so how is social justice relevant to our work as counselors, empowering the clients we work with? Okay, so little and long-winded on this one. Social justice is relevant to our work as counselors because marginalized groups are exposed to greater levels of discrimination and poverty than the majority culture, and they have limited access to mental health due to various factors. So those who experience oppression are exposed to challenges that threaten their well-being. So these chronic stressors makes them more susceptible to suicide, depression, violence, anxiety, substance abuse, as well as chronic and acute stress. And those things may lead to medical issues like hypertension, low birth rate of newborns if the mother is stressed, as well as heart disease and cancer. Now, social justice helps to recognize this and help empower these marginalized groups by helping them become more aware of the power dynamics that's at work in their life, and helps them to develop skills and capacity for gaining reasonable control over their own life. The counselor also validates the anxiety that the client feels, as well as normalizes the symptomology of the trauma that the client has experienced. The counselor also supports the clients as they search for positive coping skills and collaborate with other people to address the lack of resources and help the client obtain resources as well. I actually had to condense this because the last one that I did was about 7 to 8 minutes long. So I hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts, and I look forward to reading everyone else's. Thank you.